Welcome, everybody. There might be a few more people still arriving, but we'll start off. Thank you so much for joining us and being here on time. And welcome to the European Local Innovation Forum, in short, ELIF. This time focused on circular economy. I'm really excited. We're going to be hearing some insights in general about the topic, but also two very concrete projects implementing circular economy approaches. And we're going to hear some of their stories, learnings, and about their impacts. If you go to the next slide, Kuhle. Yes, I think most of us were quite familiar with Zoom. In case you need a refresher, here's some of the points of how to interact here. And I'll share just briefly around the agenda. So yeah, I'm doing the introduction now, and we'll hear a bit more from Communities for Climate, which was a pilot action launched by the European Commission. And going to hear a bit of an overview on that. And then later on also from two very concrete projects in circular economy that were part of C4C. In between, we'll also get a bit of a better theoretical understanding about circular economy from Martin from the Circular Economy Foundation. And then we're going to have, after the different presentations and hearing from the concrete projects, we're going to have some time for questions and discussion to interact on the topic and exchange about it. And then just, well, I guess to introduce myself very briefly, my name is Laura. I come from Germany. I work as a network weaver for ECOLISE, which is the European network for community-led initiatives working on climate change and sustainability. And we've been partnering together with AEIDL, the European Association for the Innovation and Local Development, on the implementation of C4C and also on some other initiatives. And we're co-hosting the webinar today as part of the ELIF series. And mainly ELIF is meant as a kind of online space to bring together experts, policymakers, practitioners from local communities to connect on different issues. Could be both coming from an urban or rural setting, and to facilitate the exchange, the sharing of ideas, learning from different experiences and also different perspectives. So it can further improve the innovation and implementation of different things for communities across Europe. There's a few different thematic communities that exist where these different webinars are being offered, also in territorial development, as well as employment, entrepreneurship, social inclusion. And now this is part of a series focused more on environment and climate action. So we're really excited and happy that you're joining us today, and that also these experts, speakers, and local communities have agreed to be present and share with all of us today. So thank you so much for that. And I will first hand over the floor to Aurélie. Thank you for joining us so much. Aurélie was our dear policy officer at previously DG Regio, helping to implement the C4C initiative and pilot action. So we're very excited to welcome you in today's session. And thank you for sharing a little bit of some of the insights, learnings, and experiences from this interesting pilot action. So over to you.
Thank you, Laura. And indeed, it's for me to thank you for giving me the pleasure to share the achievements of the Communities for Climate. Who are the Communities for Climate? These are 50 communities that are active in 11 member states. Those communities have taken up a challenge of addressing climate change by implementing a community-led local project. So the countries covered by the action were Croatia, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Poland, Romania, Spain, and Sweden. In some cases, they implemented cross-border projects. And in the following thematic areas, there were 4, so nature and biodiversity, a circular resource efficient economy, circular economy, renewable energy, and access to water and sustainable water management. To help them reaching the goals, they have received from the Commission 22 expert days over a period of 8 months. split between community facilitation and technical expertise. They also received a lump sum of €1,000 for a study visit to a similar project in the same country or in a different country. And they also receive coaching and support for networking and promotional activities of communication. All the projects can be found on Cohesio. This is the project platform for ERDF projects that is being run by DG Regio. So why have we launched this pilot action? So the idea of C4C was born in the post-COVID period and during the energy crisis. It was clear that repetitive climate episodes require, and other challenges require more urgent response and adaptation, and that that new challenges would continue to emerge. So resilience and sustainable solutions are needed at every level of society, and while policies and commitments at the national and regional and European level are critical, real change happens locally in our communities, our neighborhoods, and on daily basis. So cohesion policy is about solidarity. It's place-based and regional development, partnership principles. It is basically about people. Local community-led development can contribute to the objective of cohesion policy, particularly the Europe closer to citizens, but they can play a role under all objectives of cohesion policy. So this action in reality was launched to help prepare the ground by promoting the benefits of strong local communities to help them finding the right place in our policies. Next slide, please. So concretely, no, I think it's the one before. Before. Yeah. So the action was twofold. So first of all, we helped communities to develop their goals. The Commission provided, as I said, capacity building and mentoring in community and project to pass from an idea to a project and to involve a diverse range of stakeholders. So the support included the support by experts, lump sum for study visit, and then support for network and promotional activities, as I said. And then for experts, it provided the trainer coaching and support for networking amongst peers, as well as a community of practice for experts, consisting of monthly sessions for community facilitators and dedicated sessions for thematic experts. So, yes, next slide, please. So the pilot action ended before the summer. So I will share with you some achievements and results. So the communities achieved tangible and concrete results, which even when perceived as small, they created a sense of fulfillment and long-lasting connection for the communities, with an impact beyond their C4C project. For instance, the project Arenda ambassadors organized street cleanups and planted flowers in urban areas, while the Aurora Climate Garden project organized a 3-day pocket forest festival and produced a short documentary to foster local climate action. Several initiatives secured funding. For instance, the Circle Center in Sweden, which is a library of things, secured funding from the municipality of Lund for an employee, a first ever employee, and to professionalize their action. When it comes to circular economy, 8 C4C projects focused on circular economy initiatives. They covered aspects like rethinking resource use, refurbishing, reusing and repairing, or recovering energy from waste. The lessons learned related partly to technical innovations, such as implementing wastewater management or smart energy management. Project teams also learned about social innovation, because as many circular economy initiatives require a change of mindset and behavior regarding the consumption, our consumption. And for this, the facilitation and communication tools for involving people and engaging local officials were essential. Next slide, please. So for the achievements, I will speaking of three groups of achievements. So first of all, community growth and outreach. So the projects actively worked on enhancing community engagement and group dynamics. The dual expert support proved that technical solutions were more successful when combined with participatory processes. Second finding is that policy impact with local governments. Several projects reach out to policy actors, informing policy decisions and sometimes resulting in more permanent associations with policymakers when it worked, because this was really not an easy task and not always successful, I must say. And then third, the replication of ideas and practices. So some projects supported communication and outreach activities to connect communities with peers and key players. The study visit was often mentioned as an essential Kickstarter for such inspiration and for networking opportunities. This led to the replication of the C4C projects to other projects. Next slide, please. Okay, the image drawn from the 50 C4C projects is one of delegated governance. They can explore solutions and innovations to sustainable issues that are best adapted to local realities. And community-led initiatives are a specific type of policy instrument. They strengthen local participation and foster reconnection of EU citizens with policymakers. Next slide, please. So, even though C4C worked well as a support instrument for community action, it provided a crucial push for communities to get projects off the ground. They also faced many obstacles. And the main lessons learned in that respect show that what they really need is direct financial support. A modest level of funding, even a small amount of funding, significantly increases project impact and results. For example, a seed funding, a lump sum to finance facility spaces, workshops, equipment, or financial support for contracting services. It does make a huge difference, as most communities largely rely on volunteers' work. To plan sufficient time for project implementation is also a key aspect for both the expert support and for projects to test, to take the time to test and learn the lessons of these testings. So the obstacles that they faced basically were of administrative and legal barriers nature, lack of decision-making power, limited resources, and recognition. So to address these in the future, the initiative proposed the following policy recommendations, which are based on the project's feedback. There are three mainly. So one is to integrate community-led action as a policy instrument for climate, environmental, and social objectives, and to ensure synergy and coherence across policies, going with funding mechanism, obviously. To support capacity building for local communities by facilitating access to facilitators and experts. And then to promote networking, solidarity, peer-to-peer learning, and collaboration at local, regional, national, and EU levels. For instance, this could be done through by establishing a European community of practice in cooperation with existing networks. Voila, this I try to keep as short as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're out of time. And this is, I think, a slide. You could just get a few of the impressions of the images. This for me was one of the big joys of working with 50 different communities, very different territories, very different types of people, but mostly really like engaged and passionate about the projects that they were doing. You get a little impression through the photos there. And I can really recommend checking out the project summaries on the Cohesio page. You can filter for C4C, you see all the countries where they're located, and you can read many interesting stories about what they've been working on. And thank you so much for joining us today to share about that. And I know we also have many interesting people here in the room who are also interested in the topic of circular economy, of local community development. So I want to invite you all. We have a Mentimeter, a kind of online interaction tool. I think we can also put the link in the chat. So you can click on that or scan the QR code and join us. And we'll have two questions there initially. One, to get a bit of a sense of who's in the room. So you can indicate the main kind of role you have in your work. And then a second question where you can share a short written response of what circular economy means to you and anything that you would like to learn more about with this subject. So we'll give you all just a few minutes to respond to those questions and then look at the results together. Right, I think we have a good amount of responses, but more are also coming in. See, for now we must have several researchers and consultants here in the room, people working for NGOs, as policy advisors, trainers, activists, facilitators, CEO of a local development company, head of research, project managers, interested citizens, people working in rural development. Yeah, very interesting. Good mix of people in the room. It's very great to see. But still seems to be strong on the research side, activists and consultants. I like that. Great. Okay. Maybe we can look at the other side. So this is a sense to get a bit of a sense of, why you're interested, how you relate to circular economy and what you want to learn about. And I think this will be interesting input also for later the dialogue space. Okay. Maybe I'll read a few out as the responses are coming in. So I think a first really, really great comment on circular economy, that it's a transition away from waste to everything being a resource and that circulating around. It also touches on sustainability for the whole society. There's some interested to learn from the practice of others. To talk about, to learn more about the practical implementation, and also have a good theoretical background to develop and write project proposals. Circular economy has also to do with, closing circles, a social metabolism. Very interesting. Social innovation, the integration of food, waste, energy, biocommodities, urban and rural economies, transforming a linear economy to a circular economy. It's about short food chains, understanding new ways how we live in our environment. There's an interest to learn more about what circular economy really is and how to use it. Great. Sustainable resource use, cradle to cradle. Yeah, that's a nice term. For a circular economy approach as well. The youth's role in sustainable food systems, energy, and a good life for all within planetary boundaries. That's great. All right. I think these are all the responses for now. Thank you so much for participating. Degrowth, decoloniality, new models for economy and finance, and circular economy is a key regional action supported by partners across Europe, seeking to learn more about others and look at innovations and possible collaborations. Excellent. Very much welcome. And I trust that these next presentations and speakers will support all these learning intentions and give us all a bit of a richer understanding of circular economy and what it means. And with that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Martin Calisto Friant, who's the Global Value Chains Lead at the Circular Economy Foundation, and who also holds lectures on circular economy at the University of Amsterdam. Thank you so much, Martin, for joining us today. And I know you've prepared a very interesting few slides to talk more about circular economy and share that with everybody. So please go ahead.
Wonderful. Well, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you once again for the invitation. As you know, I work at Circular Economy. Let me just kind of lay the foundations of the situation in which we are. Essentially, we've risen and increased our extraction of materials, tripling it from 1970 to 2024. We now extract around 100 billion tons of materials from the earth in 2024. Yet global circularity has actually decreased from 9% in 2018 to 6.9% now, meaning that we're extracting more and we're using less secondary raw materials every year. We now consume 1.8 Earths every year, calculated by the Footprint Network. In the 1970s, we consumed about 1 Earth every year. This means that we're now an overshoot of almost double the capacity of the Earth to sustain our current consumption and production habits. And while we are over-consuming and overproduction and overproducing in some parts of the world, poverty still affects about 40% of humanity. And so we're just really bad at sharing resources and using them to meet actual human needs. We've been really good at extracting stuff, but not really good at sharing, if you will. So this is happening in a world where essentially the richest 10% own 67% of the global wealth, while the poorest 50% possess less than 2%. And the richest are also responsible for the greatest share of greenhouse gas emissions and resource consumption. Latest figures show that richest 10% of humanity are responsible for 50% of global greenhouse gas emissions, while the poorest 50% are responsible for just 8%. So while the people that are least responsible will be most affected by climate change, this is a clear kind of global planetary injustice that we're facing. And this is happening while we know research shows that we could secure actually a decent standard of living for 8.5 billion people, so more than we currently have. We're currently at 7.5, I believe. And we could do that with just 30% of current resource and energy use. Of course, that would require a transformation of current production and consumption systems, following not only circularity, but also social justice principles. This is basically what the key challenge is now. The Earth has finite resources and ecological boundaries which we're overshooting, and sustainability is often being promoted but implemented through often technocentric and neocolonial approaches which don't actually address the root causes of our systemic challenges. But in these uncertain times, we're also facing good conditions to provide for transformative approaches that could bring a better life for all. And we could shape things because well-being is not being reached either in the global north due to overconsumption and individualism and consumerism, or in the global south due to underconsumption. And so it's a multiple planetary crisis that affects us all in multiple ways. And so at Circular Economy, our strategy is to analyze current socio-ecological impacts, so we understand the potential real systemic implications of proposed solutions, to create participatory mechanisms to drive alternative approaches to circularity, and to train and build capacity for people to respond to these challenges in an inclusive manner. And some of the examples that we've done this at Circle Economy is the Circularity Gap Report. The figures that I showed about the global circularity level being just at 6.9% now actually come from these reports. So these are really useful wealths of information. We have them at the global level, at the national, regional, and industry level. So you're welcome to reach out for any of these support that we could give to you and to your transition to a circular economy. So as I've said, we've not only done reports, but also helped implement circular economy throughout lots of different geographies, cities, countries, and organizations. So that's it for circular economy. Now let's get into circular economy. And so what is it? What is a circular economy and society? And it's basically, well, a concept that can help us address the challenges that I've just presented, but it's also an umbrella concept that is continuously evolving and contested, meaning that there's no single definition of like, this is a circular economy and this is what it is. That is a good thing and a bad thing. It's mostly a good thing because it means that we can continuously improve the concept. It's a bad thing because it can be used to present the interest of those that use it, essentially, rather than a more holistic or systemic vision. But in any case, what is clear is that it's a concept that includes a wide range of different discourses from the global north and south alike. It's an umbrella concept, if you will. So within circularity as a whole, we can also include concepts like cradle to cradle, donut economics, economy for the common good, degrowth, sufficiency, and many, many more concepts that are within this umbrella. And there essentially over 221 definitions of circular economy according to Christian et al. So it's really, there's a lot of different concepts to put upon this umbrella, which is exciting. Anyways, to kind of resume what all these concepts kind of have in common in many ways, or at least should have in common, it's essentially they all aim to optimize the use of our natural resources to fulfill human needs in a sustainable, inclusive, and democratic manner. So the idea is like, okay, we're in a single planet. We have to optimize our resources. Let's cycle them, use them to their optimum value to make sure that they bring the most value to society, right? They seek circular economy concepts and ideas seek to create a balanced and harmonious flow of social ecological resources between human and natural ecosystems, and that enables humanity to thrive within planetary boundaries. All right, so how's the circular economy implemented? It's implemented through a set of R's. I'm not going to go through all the R's because we would be here until tomorrow. However, there are a few R's that are really important. Research has shown that there are at least 38 R's out there, but maybe there are many more. And I'd like to present you with the most important R's in order to really kind of get a good grasp of what this concept is about and how we can bring it to life. So first, the 10R framework, which is characterized by the first R being refuse, of course, buying and producing less, reduce, using less material per unit of production, reducing the size, for example, of vehicles, the weight of bicycles so that it actually uses less resources. Reuse, pretty straightforward, reusing a product. Repair, pretty straightforward, repairing something when it's broken. Refurbishing, meaning to go beyond repairing, but actually improving or upgrading certain parts of a product. Remanufacturing, which goes even further than refurbishing, meaning that there's an industrial process whereby we really disassemble, clean, and completely uphaul a certain product. For example, we could transform a train that travels on gas to a train that would travel on electricity. Repurpose is adapting or using a product for another function. So a train wagon would become a restaurant or something like that. We lose a bit of more value there, but at least it obtains a new life when there's nothing else that you could do with it. Recycling is when we completely take apart the product, we break it, and we reuse some of its materials to become secondary raw materials. Recover energy is when we incinerate it and recover the embedded energy in the product. And finally, remine is when we open landfills in order to obtain potentially valuable materials in there. Now, as it's pretty obvious, the higher you are in this hierarchy of R's, the more sustainable or circular you are. So, of course, refusing consumption in the first place is always more sustainable. And the least circular, the more value you lose from a product, the further down you go. But there are other R's that are also important to mention. This is the classic 10R, but I think it's important to also remember other ones. Rethink, really important, pretty straightforward. We have to rethink our value chains. We have to think about how we source things from production countries that are often in the global south, and many people that depend on our current consumption habits, and how we include them in a more decolonial and transformative world system. Redesigning products and services, pretty straightforward, but it's important to add. Restoring and regenerating nature. Another key one, but pretty straightforward. It's about restoring natural ecosystems through regenerative agriculture and nature-based solutions. Then we've got reevaluate. Now, this is really important. It's what we ascribe value to. Are we going to evaluate a product and price it just by the economic value it has? Or are we going to add also social value to it and ecological value to it through certifications or through other labels? And basically what we want to value in life. Do we value healthcare being privatized or public? Do we rather value transport being private or public, etc.? Reconceptualize is about redefining our meaning of life. Do we value our life through material possessions and consumerism, or through non-material aspirations and community-based networks and other forms of non-consumerist meanings? Restructuring is transforming our actual society to meet these new values. So how we can transform our political, economic, and social systems in order to meet these values, for example, by democratizing our workplaces, democratizing our political systems, redistributing power and wealth. Redistribute is pretty straightforward and builds upon the other ones, which is essentially redistributing power, wealth, and knowledge, so that we can share better resources amongst different people, but also different countries. And finally, relocalize, which is pretty straightforward, producing near consumption centers, but also relocalizing our politics and our culture so that we have a more vibrant and embedded local communities. All right, so that's all for the kind of implementation of circularity.
I'll invite you to wrap up, Martin, just in a moment, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to kind of stress that currently mainstream circular economy discourses tend to replicate certain narratives that stress certain R's, specifically recycle, that are very often seen as the only approach to circularity. Well, as I just presented, there are many other R's, and the other R's, especially the cultural and social R's like reconceptualize, redistribute, reevaluate, are perhaps at the center of the transition, are the most important ones to address in the first place, and really allow us to get to the systemic root causes of our problems. And all that being said, we promote moving beyond a circular economy where only material and energy resources are being kind of circulated, to a circular society where we also circulate wealth, political power, care, and knowledge in sustainable and democratic manners. The idea being here to break from this economic-centric approach to circularity that only focuses on technocentric solutions, and to also include the really important social, cultural aspects of circularity and get at the core systemic level of the current issues that we're facing. And as I presented at the start, we are facing some pretty drastic transformational necessities. So we really call for this transformative approach, as otherwise circular economy that is based on technocentrism alone might actually worsen the situation for all of us. That's all. Thank you for your time. Yeah, looking forward to the discussions.
Thank you so much, Martin. This was a beautiful presentation. I still feel a ripple effect of your statistics that we could, provide a good quality of life for everybody with just 30% of the resources and energy. I think that's a statement that should really break through and help us transform. And I also really appreciate that you brought a lot of nuance and richness and a transformative approach to circular economy and sharing that. I think it gives a very, very good base for also the project presentations and the dialogue to come. So thank you so much for sharing that and for the work that you're doing. So
thank you, my pleasure.
Yeah, excellent. And I hope you can stay, and then we'll have further exchanges also in the dialogue. Just as a reminder again, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. I don't think I've seen any. So we'll move forward with the project presentation. So we're gonna hear from two projects next. First one is Urban Eat in Barcelona in Spain. I think we have Nora with us, who's one of the project representatives, and also Juan, who supported them as part of the C4C initiative as a community facilitator. So I'll pass it over to you, and feel free to introduce yourself and of course your project more. And I'll let you know with the time. It would be great to do it maybe in 10-12 minutes, and then we'll have time for dialogue after. So over to you, Nora.
Okay, hello. I'm Nora. I work at Fundació Espigoladors, and I will try to be brief. So you can go to the next slide. I will present, very briefly. We were born in 2014 with a triple objective of preventing and reducing food waste and food loss, giving job opportunities to people at risk of social exclusion, and granting the right to a healthy and sustainable diet. And one of these lines included is Imperfect, which is a social insertion company, which transforms surplus into vegetable preserves. And it's just one of the lines of Fundació Espigoladors, but it is relevant for the Urbanita project since you will now hear a bit more about it, but it's where we transform the things that we are gleaning in the cities. So in 2019, we started with this project called La Marga, which is like the baby of Urbanita. And then we started gleaning urban fruits and from some districts in Barcelona, and then bringing it to as Imperfect and transforming it into gems mostly, with the objective of transforming these foods that have been seen as waste, that are present in a lot of cities in Catalonia and Spain and other Mediterranean cities, into edible products that could be redistributed to social entities or used as institutional products. And then in 2024, we started with we call it Urbanita project, which basically tried to expand La Marga to other municipalities across Catalonia. And then the C4C project helped us. Well, in 2024, we already had 6 districts in Barcelona, and now you will see some other numbers within Urbanita. Through the C4C project, which lasted during 2024 and 2025, we had 2 experts that helped us especially define a little bit more our next steps in Urbanita, how to reach more municipalities, how to find potential clients and other agents, and to specifically identify the added value of our projects. We also got to discover similar projects as ours, one in Utrecht, for example, and one in Greece, which have some similarities and some differences, but have similar outlooks to what we consider waste in urban spaces. Okay, you can go to the next one. I speak quick. I hope if anyone has specific questions, we can talk later. Okay, so some of the Urbanita actions have included urban gleaning of different products. The main one are bitter oranges, but we have also used carobs, lemons, blackberries, figs, and olives. And then these products that we made are then redistributed to social entities in the neighborhoods the trees are growing in, or used as institutional products. We have also created a map of the different urban trees around Catalonia that is useful for municipalities or others to identify where we could be gleaning. And then we also do workshops associated with the gleaning, so we can help people find ways of using the things that we are collecting. And you can go to the next one. Okay, some of the numbers we have at the moment are, we have 14 participating municipalities, as well as the now 7 districts in Barcelona. And we have ongoing talks with others. We have mapped over 92 municipalities in Catalonia, you can see numbers, but over 500 people have participated in urban gleanings. We have been gleaned 430 trees, recovered 5,000 kilograms of fruits and vegetables that would have been otherwise wasted, done over 40 awareness workshops, and produced over 35,000 gems that have been returned to the neighborhoods. And in these workshops where we learn how to use these products, 500 people have participated in them, and these include neighbors of the different neighborhoods, school, teenagers, older people, people from municipalities. So it's pretty varied, the participants. Okay, yeah, it was very brief. So you can go to the next one. Okay, so well, we wanted to emphasize that even though the C4C project allowed us to look at the next steps, this is an ongoing project that has existed since before C4C and will continue to exist, since our goal is to create a community of edible municipalities, eventually edible countries, and eventually like that everywhere where there's fruits and edible stuff that grows on cities can be used and be redistributed to the citizens of those cities. We have now received financing for the next 3 years, so it's easier to secure that our ongoing goal will keep on going. On the other hand, from C4C, we managed to visualize our business model a bit better, or the part of the economic steps that we could be taking. For example, how to approach municipalities so they collaborate with us. How to what else? Sorry. How to what's the added value of the product that we are creating, which we are still finding ways of selling it, because since it's a public product, well, municipalities have to agree to it. It has to have a general interest purpose behind it. So yeah, we need to we want to make the administrations active participants of all of this, and also promote, so they can also promote sustainable cities and accessible food, healthy foods for everyone. What else? We're also trying to find new ways of innovating about this food surplus, and to not only limit it to gems, which is the easier option for bitter oranges, but it's also sometimes not the healthiest since it has a lot of sugar. So we're trying to find different ways of using these products, and also on how to use, for example, products that are less common, such as carobs, which are now used for some types of like chocolate creams, but still we're testing on that. And how to also use the products that we're creating through the Urbanita project. For example, in Reus, which is one of the municipalities that participate with us, they're using it instead of giving the jars directly, they sell it as a souvenir or as an institutional product, and then the money that they get, they use it to buy foods for social entities or buy other things that are needed by food banks or social entities. So generating income for the municipality, so it can be used in other areas of interest. And yeah, through this project, we just want to share how grassroots initiatives can inform EU level policies in food waste prevention and circular economy, and we strive to keep empowering citizens and municipalities to see food surplus as resource, not a residue, to create a community of edible cities. And now I think Juan will go a bit more into what we did through C4C. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. I think Nora has explained pretty well the project. Well, I'm Juan. I was the main facilitator supporting the project through C4C. I'm also a member of ECOLISE, and I'm going to share just a few insights and lessons that we took through this collaboration. Well, when we started to support Urbanita was in its pilot phase. They had funding just for the first year, and they were in a moment with a lot of energy, but they didn't know exactly what would happen next, how to continue. They needed space to reflect and to meet together to co-design those next steps. So basically, what we did was to provide a structured time for reflection and long-term vision, and we focused quite a lot into identifying other examples that were trying to do similar things. Nora already named two of them, to try to clarify the value creation, the boundaries, and the strategic direction. I will talk briefly about that too. We also looked at the regenerative approach of the project, aligning the purpose, the relationships, and the long-term viability. And the goal was to enable a model that could grow sustainably without losing identity. They were starting in a few municipalities, but they wanted to go beyond that. No? And indeed, right now, I think in part, thanks to the support of C4C, they've been also able to get more funding, and right now they are going beyond Catalonia. Please pass to the next one. That it was key, it was to identify what was the real purpose that it was behind the project. And what we identified in those facilitated spaces and talking with the people involved in the project, also with volunteers, it was that circularity, it wasn't the end, it was a way to enter into the project itself. And the main purpose, it was about cultural change. So it's like the cleaning, it was becoming a social and cultural catalyst, not only a circular economy activity itself. We also realized that even if an initial idea, it was maybe Urbanita could replace the municipal maintenance or waste services, because at the end, they are using the fruit from the trees that need to be cleaned by the municipality and so on. But we realized that that could not be the main goal or the main purpose of Urbanita. And at the end, what it was clear for us is that the main strength of the project, it related into the education, the participation, and the stewardship of the public space. So for us, it was clear to define that purpose for the long-term and regenerative growth of the project. Please go to the next one. Something we also did, it was to develop and structure segmentation of the key stakeholders. So who is part of the project and which needs do they have, which type of values do they need or they are looking for. And the main actors involved into this project were the municipalities, the volunteers, the maintenance companies, because they could see this type of process as a competition sometimes, and also different types of sponsors that they could give their name, their brand, etc. for this type of process or project. And the main two actors or stakeholders for us, it was very evident that they were the municipalities and the volunteer, and the values were very different. Therefore, it's very important when you do this type of exercise to realize what's your priority and what's your focus, and that maybe something is very valuable for some, but it's not so valuable for others. So how can you combine both? For the municipalities, for example, it was not a question of cost savings, but it was more about engagement, identity, and visibility of the work. On the other hand, for the volunteers, it was more about sense of belonging, participation, being part of, being connected to something that was happening in their neighborhood, etc. So at the end of all this process, we had a much clearer modular value proposition that then Urbanita could tailor to the different contexts. There you can see just pictures about the work we were doing, the benchmark also, and different things. Please pass to the next one and last one. And at the end, here you can also see a few pictures of the field visit we did to Utrecht. A few important lessons that I think are, I mean, at the end, everything that I'm sharing, I think it can be used to any community circular economy project, is that defining the true purpose to guide Corinne's scaling process, scaling up, scaling deep, etc. of the project is crucial. That the success of the project, it depends on a strong relationship and meaningful participation. That to define also the boundaries of the project are very important. And by boundaries, I mean what the project is and what it entails and what not. For whom is the project, for whom not, because the project can't do everything. Sometimes we want to do a lot of things, and it's good at the beginning, but if you want to scale up, you need to define that very, very well. So define the projects to protect the model and align expectations. Then legal clarity. We looked a lot into the legal barriers, that there were many. Can we use the fruit that we have taken from the trees to sell? Can we? I mean, there are many things that you need to take into account. And finally, and very, very important, it was the need of facilitators to deal with the collaboration between the different stakeholders, to have spaces to proper design and strategic thinking, etc., etc. So I think that was something very, very valued through the whole project. So yeah, I'm going to stop there. And I think with this we close. We have a last slide to say thank you from Urbanita, everyone that has been involved in the project, and from me, and also from Nicola, that is the other facilitator that was not here today.
Great.
So over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, both Juan and Nora. Been great to hear some of the learnings and the results from Urbanita in Barcelona, and I think it's very exciting that you've been able to positively use some of these experiences over the last 1.5 years to really develop your project further, and can now continue doing so. Thank you so much, and I hope there's going to be more exchanges as well. We're going to pass to another circular economy project in France, EcoFashion 94, and to Thomas, who will share. He was one of the community facilitators supporting this project. I think in the chat, in the link, you can also find more information about it. Thank you for joining us today, and over to you to share about that project as well.
Hi, everyone. So EcoFashion, it's about circular textile. It's a more early stage approach. So I'm going to focus on the design thinking approach and what are our prototypes and what we discovered and on the early stage of the circular textile approach. Next. So EcoFashion 94, it's a network born from a local transition network group. Val-de-Marne Transition. Val-de-Marne is 94, so EcoFashion 94, which was already doing some citizen stuff like a repair cafe, where they repair a lot of items, including clothes. Gratiferia, when you put clothes and objects free in the road and on an event, and sewing workshops. Some of them wanted to learn how to repair or to do upcycling or to do some kind of items in textile, stuff like this. And that contributed to Ressourcerie. It's a community reuse centers, a second health shop, a thrift store with a repair workshop and doing events and stuff like this. It's kind of, yeah, community reuse centers. Main word in France, ressourcerie, there's no really equivalent in English. So some of them within the network decided to tackle circular textile in a broader way. Like, okay, we're already doing this stuff. What can we do more if as a local group of citizens? And so they launched a design thinking approach, and they were supported by public authorities, including Europe and municipalities with Shared Green and Community for Climate. And so what we learned. Next. First is the quality of this approach depends on the diversity of people you gather. You need to have a little bit of diversity. So we gather seamstresses, second-hand shops, repair cafe, relooking specialists, awareness raising volunteers, some people like the doctors that just spoke, and we studied together circular economy. We already knew a lot of stuff, and we discovered some. So what is known is that fast fashion is a very important part of the fashion industry. We sell more clothes and they don't last. There is a lot of social issue. We had already heard about Rana Plaza, a building that crumbled with 1,100 deaths, and people were forced to go to work with the building already collapsing. They say, no, you need to work over there. There's a lot of social issues. And there was also long-lasting alternatives like Patagonia, for example. And what we learned is that actually fast fashion is getting even worse. Now there is ultra fast fashion with Shine, Temu, how that polyester becomes the main way to produce clothes, and there is a microfiber issue when you dry them, when you wash them, that people in Bangladesh are paid like 50 cents an hour around. And with this kind of cost, yeah, it's really hard to compete with closing the loop at the local level. We knew about a second-hand website like Le Bon Coin, Vinted, and people say, yeah, you know, we are winning with these sites, like fashion is circular. Yeah, I show you it's not. And we've seen many other alternatives to how to reuse it at the local level. We knew professional repairs and sewing lessons, and we discovered that France was doing a repair bonus. I'm going to talk to you about it. And on recycle, in France, there is many textile drop-off paints where you can put your clothes, but it's underfunded. Sometimes they, last year, they just stopped accepting because it was, yeah, you know, we're going to go bankrupt. It doesn't work anymore. And half of the collected textile is actually sent to Africa. So 65% of the clothes is not collected. Our goal is to have 60% collected, but nowadays it's only 35% at the French level. And half of what is sent to Africa isn't sold at all and end up in landfill or in the ocean, stuff like this. So our conclusion, 65% of the textile is still linear. Well, it's better than Europe, it's better than worldwide, it's better than the 7% that we've seen earlier, but it's still mainly linear. So if some of us believe that second-hand clothes sold through Vinted and Le Bon Coin was enough. Like, yeah, you know, it's increasing, it's working. Next. But if you compare to fast fashion and ultra-fast fashion, yeah, it's still not enough. We see that Shine is winning, actually. So we ask ourselves why, and we uncover many reasons. And the reasons mainly new is cheaper than repairing. When you see a jean repaired by a professional is around 12 euros, and a new jean on Shine is only 11 euros. Yeah, you know, thanks to machine and low-cost labor, we are not competitive. And quality of textile is degrading. Clothes aren't meant to last long, mainly. There's exceptions, I talked to you about it, but mainly it's not the case. Many clothes slip in our closets. When you ask people, they say, yeah, around 20%. When you look at the closets, it's more like 50%, actually. Clothes you don't wear at all, so we have too much clothes. And social norm and the level of awareness are mainly poor consumers. The power to consumption, the social alternative, the social and environmental impacts aren't seen. They are far from home. So there is a big accident like Rana Plaza, okay, but the small fire you see in Bangladesh that kill hundreds, you don't see them at all. You need to have special studies like researchers like you could show us the impacts. And the alternatives exist, but they aren't mainstream enough. Either they are not known or they are too far from home. So what can a local group of citizens, which was the case, can do about it? So many stuff around production and consumption we couldn't focus on. We could focus on awareness raising about how citizens can reduce their consumption, about to reuse, about repair, recycle. So I'm going to show you what we've seen that works on the citizen level and what we did. First, awareness raising works really fine. There is a lot of case of workshops for aware citizens. We did some in high school, we did some in malls. You can do that on the streets. There is 3 hours workshops. There's smaller ones. There is movies, documentaries on this. You can do it wherever you are. You can grow awareness on these issues and show that there is alternatives. first alternative you can show is promote clothes meant to last. Well, that's a hard one because clothes meant to last are really more expensive, usually. I like the brand Loom in France. You look at their jeans, it's more like 100 euros. You look at the jean in China, it's 11 euros. Ooh, that's hard. But that's not hard for clothes. Actually, socks. Loom socks lasts 50 times longer than high quality socks. So it's an investment. 12 euros for a pair of socks, it's expensive. But if it's like 5-10 years, yeah, it could be worth offering as a gift. So that works really well. In my family, it's been 3 years we've been given this kind of socks. Yeah, that works well. So some clothes meant to last are worth investing, even if you have low income, actually. And we need to lobby together at the national and at the European level to stop fast fashion. In France, there were too many fast fashion from our borders, from France, like Decathlon and Kiabi. So we focused on ultra fast fashion. So there is a law actually building to create a tax on ultra fast fashion. So it's Chinese platform. It's okay. We don't want to have this kind of competition in France. So it works. Having public pressure on this issue has worked in France, and we need to make ultra fast fashion and fast fashion harder to get, to promote alternatives. Otherwise, we're never going to be competitive. Next. So, to reduce, what we did as EcoFashion 94, besides promoting and lobbying, it was a sustainable wardrobe challenge. So, the clothes slipping in our closet, what can we do about it? One of the reasons is people not choosing clothes fit for them. Actually, some people, working experts, have a business with this. But the business, we looked at the price, and in our area, the prices were like 400 euros to 800 euros to have advices on what to wear. So, ooh, it's never going to be mainstream, you know? So we tried to have a cheap basic wool-looking or free basic wool-looking. And we made a MOOC with this, with one of the wool-looking experts and communication experts to promote advices on how to wear clothes that fit you, and add the local alternatives where you can buy it from. You can buy from reuse centers, stuff like this, second-hand shops, and stuff like this, and repair how to do this. So local alternatives and how to buy clothes that fit them. We tried this. It's still a prototype. We've done the beta version 1, and we are in the second version. We're not sure it's going to work, but that's one of the key we tried. And one of the goals was to attract a regular citizen, not only a rare citizen on fashion, to broaden potential people to join our movement. Next.
Just to say, if you could wrap up in the next minute, that would be amazing.
Yes, on reuse, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of second-hand shops. The community reuse centers are really great. We did a network, a subgroup, Resource Sorcery. We offered mutual support, cross-selling of workshops to malls. We visit Inspiring Place. We learned that you can earn money from resale and sewing lessons, sometimes more from sewing lessons, that you can have social diversity. You don't necessarily have to have only low-income people coming to your place. You can do events outside your shop and broaden a community. You can collect clothes for repair services. As parents, I advise you to do yearly sales with your school of clothes kids. And the stuff that is really working well in France is reuse centers focused on sports. Next. Next. On repair, we need repair by professional and do-it-yourself. Repair done. You need swing lessons everywhere, with your colleagues, with your NGO, within schools. And there is a bonus repair in France, thanks to extending producer responsibility scheme that is funding a bonus repair. Repair can be half less expensive. So we promoted it. We've seen the tailors and said, oh, why don't you use it? Stuff like this. And we created a service using the bonus repair in places where tailors didn't want to use it, like community supported agriculture. A group of citizens helps with the logistics, with the sales, and to enable a professional seamstress to do this at home at an affordable price. Next. And for recyclers, sometimes we managed to close the loop for one of the local producers, so Chaussettes Solidaires, which was collecting stuff. Next steps, where we are now. We have 3 prototypes. I've talked about the MOOC, Sustainable Wardrobe Challenge, the Citizen Seamstress, the CSA for repairs, and we've also created within our website a Sustainable Fashion Ambassador, where we've collected all the ways that local groups could tackle sustainable fashion, all the stuff that I've shown you. I'm ready to answer any question.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you both. I think these 2 projects give a very tangible sense of how circularity approaches with at least several of the many R's can be implemented, both from France and Spain. Thank you so much. I will pass it over to Holger. I think yes, Holger Kuhle, who's one of the board members at AEIDL, and he's going to frame the next part of this webinar for discussion. And there will be also time to interact with some of the speakers here. So over to you, Holger.
Good day. Hi to everybody. And thank you especially to those who were already active and enriching our debate. I would say it was amazing because we started with a very kind of presentation of high-level principles. Where are we? Because that's always important to understand where we are and what could be and what should be done. And then we are introduced to 2 fantastic real-life place-based initiatives. So it's both. It's somehow theory and values, and it's also how to act and how to start action. With that in mind, we thought it makes sense that you connect to each other. Of course, it's hard to connect in a big group. I think now we are still 40 or so, 40 attendees. So we will be, let's say, brought into magically we will be brought into 4 breakout groups. Unfortunately, as we run out of time, very short breakouts. Please, once you are there in your breakout, beyond connecting to each other, could you also please think about how to scale? What is possible? What are barriers? What are options to scale those practices? And then we come back, and then we have at least a very short moment to share and to, let's say, to discover your insights in the plenary before we say goodbye. But now we will get into those breakouts. Julia, you will bring us there, isn't it? Automatically.
Yeah. And just to add another question to exchange about is also any general learnings or inspirations from what you've heard today in the webinar. You can reflect on that together, or maybe you're a part of a circular economy initiative yourself. Feel free to also share that so we can exchange in the groups.
I would invite maybe one speaker in each group, just maybe to give some, to share some input, some insights you discussed. If I may start, then I can frame it. In our group, we had, I would say, 2 major contributions. One was about the most inspiring thing was, for one gentleman, the making use of things that are currently not used, like the fruits in cities, for instance. And this is something that could be scaled up, because in many places in the world, there are this kind of trees and so on. But in the same direction, the gentleman said, look, there are so many public spaces in cities not used for the right thing. So we should turn those spaces into, I would call it, urban agriculture and so on. And this gives both added value to the environment and to the people, to the social and to the environment. And the second interesting contribution was from a colleague from Romania, who said he works especially with craftsmen and craftsmanship. And by default, the heritage of our craftsmanships by default are very circular. So the problem is that the products they want to sell and even the leftovers they leave over their production chain is not is not sold by them because they are not selling people, they are craftsmanship. So the problem is how to combine this with other forces like, let's say, marketing people, selling people, and so on. So can I give the voice to somebody else from another group?
I can go very quickly. I think in our group, we had two main perspectives on circular economy and some reflections coming both from practical projects and also from research. On the practical projects, there was one example of turning coffee waste into biochar and using that to improve the kind of carbon cycle, the waste reduction, and also the soil fertility, which is really critical for all of our agricultural land. And that could be even used also in the communities that produce coffee. So there was some interesting question and exchange around that. And then we had also research perspective, touching in a lot of the social dynamics, also circular economy, barriers, enabling factors. And we also heard a bit more from the work in Barcelona from Nora, who where they also work with people who have challenges accessing jobs and the kind of market, and working with them to turn fresh produce into products. I think this is also core element again around this the social aspect, social inclusion, also that is really relevant for circular economy.
Hi. Yes, well, we were mainly discussing the development of a community hub from one of the other participants in the group, and yeah, they were interested in creating or working already in creating a community hub in Ireland, and we kind of discussed who should be involved, like how to create it, and just kind of what are the important actors to work with in that regard, and we just mainly focused on kind of reiterating the importance of making sure that civil society organizations and NGOs are also taken part and active in the creation of this hub. And in the development of potential actions and strategies to really respond to real local needs and have more democratic and kind of inclusive discussion of what is needed and what can be done. So that's kind of, yeah. I think Jael can, who was in the group, can maybe add some things that I might have forgotten, but that I think was most of what we discussed. Yeah.
Thanks. May I ask the person who mentioned or who explained about this Irish example, maybe to share, if there's to share a link in our chat, if there's anything we could maybe read through and come back at the later stage. And then I would love to give the voice to the fourth.
Yeah.
The fourth group.
In our group, we talked about two ways to scale. First is the way of social entrepreneurship, and we talked about a platform, leader, which helps social entrepreneurs grow and to get funding. And we talked about the way to work with the public authorities, and that when it's possible, you need to showcase a business case that could be done, that could be replicated, and choose your battle and scale through public authority when it's possible. Otherwise, choose a social entrepreneur one, or choose just to showcase an example for other movement, other NGOs to grow. Different ways to scale.
Thanks. Grand merci. Then I leave it now with you, Laura, because before we say goodbye, there is another Minimator, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we can put the evaluation form maybe in the chat. And if you have any like learnings or reflections you want to share from the whole webinar, from all the presentations we've heard, or from your little breakout room discussion, please share those with us. We're always happy to get some of the inspiration and learnings there from the webinars. And otherwise, we're just going to spend the next few minutes. Please excuse us for going slightly over time. But I don't want to, yeah, we'll have a last part just for Claire Jordan, who's the managing director at AEIDL, to also share some final reflections. And we hope that everybody else can engage on the chat or the poll to share also your final reflections on the learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, everyone, today. I will just say thank you to everyone for joining us today, and I'm not going to spend too much time summarizing what we've learned, because what we're going to do is we're going to write a nice, succinct report of today's learnings. We had some amazing presentations, a lot of, a lot to digest, a lot of really inspiring examples and good insights, which I hope will be taken up by many, and we will publish this on our website. That's going to be the easiest way. So a very, very big thank you. Let's try and finish on time. Please complete the form, and my colleagues are going to show you. Okay, this is the QR code for your satisfaction survey. If you have a minute to complete it, that would be absolutely amazing. And we will also share it by email. Maybe you can already put the information about future activities, Julian, so that our participants know that there are some other interesting events coming up, also under the banner of ELIF. So they are quite varied, and we will also share them, but I wanted you to have an idea. And what about the next ELIF? There's more now, Julian, or is that it? There's also the CLSI launch.
Yes. We don't have a slide for this, but we can already say to you in advance, as your ELIF members, you will receive it, all the information by email, but here it's like the sneak peek. There's going to be a second call. Last year we did a first call for community-led social innovation projects. We gather quite a few of them, and we create a CLSI network that it was launched last year in 2020, in the December of 2024. And this year we are doing the second call. It's gonna be launched soon, so you will receive all information. So any kind of project related that has integrated community-led social innovation as a tool to achieve their goals can apply, of course, to this, and you will receive all information.
Yes, thank you. So stay tuned. We hope this was a relevant event, and we'll do our utmost to continue to offer you new and exciting events such as this one today. I think maybe we can stop sharing now.
Thank you all for joining and sharing. It was really great to learn more about circular economy, and wishing you a really beautiful rest of your day.